So yeah, I found the Spectrum post, and I thought it would be good to bounce off of. And I have heard some feedback from people in the comments. I'm not gonna. I will always link the post. So it's like up to you if you want to go there and make comments or whatever. But or like read it for yourself or read the other comments that I may have skipped over. But I won't be showing the name of the person who made the post. But yeah, this is the title of the post. Star Citizen is becoming Rust in space. Am I wrong? And I was immediately blown away by the title, because it's becoming anything but that, right? Like they're going in the complete. Rust doesn't have insurance, right? Rust doesn't have get your gear back the moment you die. Rust doesn't have a instance hangar where all of your stuff is protected. Rust doesn't have, as far as I'm aware, Rust doesn't have any like safe zones. And I was just like taken aback by this completely. Rust does have safe zones? Okay, well, maybe that's different then. I've never played it, but I've watched plenty of content on it, and I've never seen anyone sitting in a safe zone in any of the content. Are trading outposts modded servers, or are they on public servers? Because I'm only talking about public. Okay, yeah, well, I guess I'm unaware as not being a Rust player, but the comparison is just weird. So yeah, let's read the actual body of the post and make some comments on this. And I think it's a good like conversational jump off point of where this game is and what it is and what it wants to be, but more importantly, the community sentiment about everything, right? So the focus of the game has seemed to become a repetitive looter shooter with an added heavy crafting and base building mechanic. Well, obviously it's like none of those things right now, and everything is subject to change and always has been. And until those things exist, I don't believe, this is my own maybe like defense mechanism, but I don't believe they will exist, right? It was just a PowerPoint presentation until it's actively in development, and we see it, because it could certainly be actively in development right now, obviously. All right, murder hobos, my favorite word, have become the biggest complaint of the normies, and the game community is becoming more and more toxic over the last few years. Gaming communities are toxic. They have toxic people, and the toxic people always rise to the top, right? In the sense of they're the ones who get talked about. They're the ones who have threads made about them, and so on and so forth, right? Because if you don't, what are you going to do? Just continuously make posts about how nobody says anything, right? So if there is PvP involved, there will be some level of toxicity. And I just think this is more a result of the game becoming more popular and not the game changing in any way, right? Just more general gamers are coming to Star Citizen to play because it is more of a game than it was, say, 5 years ago, when I imagine this guy was, like most of us, sitting around imagining what the game would be instead of possibly logging in and playing it occasionally. And yeah, given the title of this post, I don't think he plays it at all, but we'll have to read some more and we'll see. This is exactly the pattern with the game Rust. But that game was a financial success, so maybe CIG has decided to do mostly the same thing. Was Rust a simulator and then became an MMO? I'm unsure what his point is, but let's continue. And yeah, like Rust was always what it is now, so I have no idea what the fuck this guy is talking about in that case. So let's see, and maybe if we read more, we'll understand more. Yeah, like the whole point of Rust is PvP and toxicity. That is not the whole point of Star Citizen. And it's almost like this guy has decided to completely ignore everything that was said at CitizenCon 2024 in terms of like the points that they wanted to make, like uh a storyline, what is it called, like the main story arc or whatever being a thing that has nothing to do with PvP toxicity or anything like that, and you will likely be doing those things on your own, and that experience will very much be like single player PvE, you know, cinematic RPG type experiences, right? There were like system security discussions at CitizenCon with the ideas of space being safe, certain places being safe. The base building discussions were explained how Pyro would be a certain way, and Stanton, nobody could loot you. How is that Rust? How is that Rust, my brother? It's not. So, like, I feel like a lot of the conversation is coming from a lack of understanding, at least of the direction that they say they're going to go, and a focus on, I don't know, causing drama or something. Like, this just seems like a post that is either a troll or somebody who is completely misunderstanding what the game is, right? But it still doesn't mean that it can't be a good conversation, because I kind of skimmed over the body here, and it's pretty spot on, right? So the deep reputation system originally envisioned has been dumbed down to a few mega groups that cover most or possibly all at launch systems. And I think he's talking about like the Bounty Hunters Guild, the Mercenaries Guild, the industrial stuff, the council, right? Those larger guilds. But again, the more like the smaller corporations do still exist. So yeah, I just think this is a good thing because it actually will make the video game function and not be overcomplicated and stupid, where, you know, you're gaining positive rep with a giant guild and then losing. So yeah, it's just weird. Now, here's where I think he starts to get spot on, because I guess I have a little bit more understanding of these systems. Industrial careers seem to be going in a direction of being mostly a feed the crafters job, since killing things gives more money at a faster rate than does putting in all the work for time and time to salvage or mine, and also rewards kill only loot. That's true. Most of the until recently, I guess. So what we had to do, I don't know how many people are aware, but my organization 30K Inc. has fed 4 different orgs chasing the Wicklow Polaris. I don't know how many Wicklow Polarises have been earned, probably quite a few at this point, but we fed at least the Quantanium for 4 different Polarises. That's a lot. That's 4,800 Quantanium, right? And how it was done initially was from bounty missions. A lot of the stuff came from bounty missions and a few decent mining runs. So I don't think he's wrong there, where it will, okay, industrial careers like mining and salvage will always be, and always are in every video game ever, been a feed the crafters job, because you could sell the, you know, raw planks in a New World, or you could sell the raw Quantanium in a Star Citizen for a certain amount. But I imagine if you were to invest the time, effort, money, whatever, into turning it into a crafted product, there would likely be a bit more margin there and you would make more money, right? But if you don't want to do that, because time is the key thing there, then you would just sell it off. And that's totally a fine thing to do. Can't be a conversation around economy, industry, and crafting without talking, and a space game without talking about EVE Online. I do a lot of mining in EVE Online. I don't do a lot of crafting in EVE Online. I do crafting with salvage stuff, but I don't do it with mining stuff. And what EVE Online, the community has done, because it's, the developer there understands that the players are better at making content than they are, unlike Star Citizen, who has a massive ego with, the guy at the top, I'm guessing. And they think that they could do it better than we can. So they try to coddle and make all of the gameplay work the way they want to, instead of leaving it as an open sandbox and giving players the tools to create the content for themselves, right? The way freight elevators work, the way all these things work, it's a mess, right? So to get to the point, if you don't want to go through the process, which is a lengthy, time-consuming, and seemingly sometimes expensive process of crafting in EVE Online, then you would sell your ore on the open market, or within like organizations and stuff, there's buyback programs. So there's people who have spent the time, money, and effort into being like the best refiners in the game. So what they'll do is they'll buy all my ore at like a 80 to 90% of the value if I refined it. And then they'll refine it themselves and they'll make that 20%. But I get paid instantly, right? So yes, you are always going to be feeding the crafters. But if you really enjoy mining, if the right systems are in place, you'll make a good amount of money per hour and you'll be happy, right? And that's kind of the important thing here, is as long as those systems are in place, then things are good. But CIG has never made a system where we could trade stuff to each other simply, easily, and smoothly, right? They just haven't. And the time to do anything between players does not, it's like the juice isn't worth the squeeze, right? So here's where he's definitely on to something here. Cargo hauling is basically a Google the best route and grind it over and over while trying not to get blown up. 100%. And it's not even a Google the best route anymore. It's just do the missions that the company created for you. That's like the microcosm of the biggest problems there are. You can't, and it's just, it makes no sense to run commodities in the game anymore because cargo hauling missions took over that. And then on top of that, how does that rust? How is that rust? Because that cargo is of no value to somebody killing you. None. That's not rust at all. Pirates don't want that ore. I still have Quantanium on the mind. Pirates don't want that cargo. Because what are they going to do with it? How many times have you been to an outpost and seen just cargo left behind because it's valueless? That system does not work. And, yeah. Again, if they were truly making a sandbox like Rust, they would... It's literally the opposite of Rust. If they were truly making a sandbox like Rust, it would be in the players' hands how everything worked, and the players would create the solutions and the problems. Now, again, I am not a PvP apologizer. I absolutely believe the Stanton system should be a safe system. I think the Stanton gate in Pyro should be a very contested area and difficult to get through. And I think Pyro should have really good stuff in it that draws those players to it. And then once you get to Stanton, you're relatively safe. And especially, your bases will be safe and nothing will be taken, right? At least that's the plan. I believe it should stay that way. And that's really nice, because then players will decide, am I going to refine my ore in Stanton or am I going to refine it in Pyro? Because I'll be taxed in Stanton for that safety, right? Everything comes at a cost. All right. Exploration. Doesn't exist. I shouldn't even read the sentence. It's a non-factor. Exploration has been pared down from the early vision. I don't even know what the early vision was, because I don't think it was ever truly explained, and people just were dreaming it up. My understanding was it was always treasure hunting, and that was about it. The closest thing that we got to a true vision of exploration was long distance probing that was explained at a CitizenCon. And I cannot find that discussion. It's like been deleted from the internet. I cannot find it. I don't know where it is. Medical gameplay is dead on arrival, with everyone having instant heals and tons of ships that can either carry a med bay or already have one built in. That's true. I mean, medical gameplay is really stupid. Fueling and repair gameplay is questionable, since no matter where you are, a station or landing zone is just a couple of minutes from you, and many medium or bigger ships can jump through both systems without needing to refuel. 100%, right? 100%. That's one of those things where, again, you gave a tool to the players to create a sandbox experience and then took it away. I don't know why. Oh, maybe because you don't take the time to make things work. That's right. Because the Starfarer is the only ship that can refuel, and if you don't have one, then it becomes a problem and all this stuff. Almost as if CIG focused on selling you the experience without actually having made it. Very interesting. Maybe if they focused on putting those systems in the game instead of feeding the dream of what the game might be by selling you the next coolest ship or whatever, then yeah, you're kind of screwed. So that's the problem here, is if you don't actually finish the systems and make them work and put everything at a tier 0 state, then you have to create all these fail safes so players don't get stuck and don't have a situation where they can't play the game. Like, I don't think running out of fuel is fun either, right? Like, I literally don't think running out of fuel is fun, and I think they also kind of realize that, and I don't like it. I love the Starfarer. I think refueling is really, really interesting to do yourself, but running out of fuel is painful. Getting to another player that has run out of fuel can be painful. The only systems we have are to like join party, jump to them, and then hopefully you're able to dock to it and it works, right? I always kind of envision the Starfarer being more of a ship where you extracted resources, created the fuel on the ship, and then sold it to either NPC stations that, you know, are where people refuel, or stockpile at your base where you had your own refueling, right? Yeah, right now you can't even run out of hydrogen fuel in the game. You can only run out of quantum fuel. The reason is because we used to be able to, and it wasn't fun, right? It just wasn't fun. And thank you for all the subs, guys. I see you guys subbing, but I don't have alerts on this this scene. So thank you, Husker. Thank you, Poet. And there was one other one. Make sure I thank you. I can't see it. And Salvanor. Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. So yeah, that's a tough one, because like, you have to be honest with yourself. Is running out of fuel not obviously running out of fuel is not fun, but there is endless friction after you run out of fuel to get fueled back up, right? It's not like you have an extra canister in the back of your ship that you can just, you know, fill up enough to get you to safety or anything, right? Yeah. So it's just, I don't know about that one. I want that experience to be good, but in a game like Star Citizen, I just don't know if it's possible, and I think that's why we have the stations everywhere. Multiplayer ships are 75% of your crew just sits in a turret hoping to see a target. I know engineering is coming, but even then, that's one extra or two extra people doing stuff. I could go on and on, but most of us have heard it too many times already. Yes, they have plans to address some of these things as we move forward, but they really seem focused on delivering a game that is mostly about killing things, crafting things so you could kill things better, and building bases to store the rare loot you only get from killing things because they remove them from the stores. What? But there's player markets, so everything will be on the stores. They just won't be on NPC stores. Like, there is a plan for us to sell stuff at our bases. Right? So literally every item will be something that could be sold if they decide to make that system. And we don't know what, to be clear, at this point, we do not know what's going to happen. With the choice to go with what they did this year, which is the content-focused bug-fixing thing and ignoring features, everything I've talked about that would solve these problems are features. And if they're not prioritizing them now, how will they have changed their mind on what is a priority when they do decide to? But what was this game ever going to be for this play? Like, now I'm struggling to go. When he said the game mostly about killing things and crafting things so you can kill things better, what did he think he was going to be doing? My guess is he's original backer, 100-star system kind of guy. But again, 100-star systems is not the, like, thousands of star systems. Second Life in space. Rust is closer to Second Life than Star Citizen ever was. There are PvE servers in Rust, right? That makes it more like Minecraft as far as I'm aware. So, yeah, I would love to know what he wanted out of the game and what he was expecting, because it was always going to be killing things, and then, it was not going to be crafting things, because Chris literally said he did not want crafting in his game, which was insane. And then crafting things so you can kill things better. I mean, it just sounds like an MMO. I don't know, which was kind of always part of the plan. I'm just trying to think of, like, what could he possibly have wanted? Yeah, like, did you just want to watch TV shows? Like, have your game feel like a TV show? Kind of weird. And then attacking player bases to kill them and take their rare loot. Again, you won't be most people probably will not be participating in that gameplay. I think most people are going to be kind of huddled up in a place like Stanton and Terra, if we ever get that. And I think the sweats are going to be in Pyro. And the sweats are going to be fighting against other sweats, which is exactly what players like this want. So I don't know why that would be a problem. That would be a great thing, unless players like this want everything with no consequences, no effort, and no risk, right? I don't understand. Like, I just don't understand the logic in this post. I do not understand it. Is the direction they're going in is less murder hobo-y. By the minute, it's getting less and less and less. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And he says, I hope I'm wrong that they really step things up after Squadron 42 releases, but from what I've seen in the videos produced in the last couple of years, they have gone from trying to set new standards of gameplay to being willing to basically follow the patterns found in many other MMOs, Starkov, Rust in Space. These are the new ways people have been describing what Star Citizen has become. I would agree with him if this was a year ago. But everything they have done in the last few months has proven this post wrong. Everything has insurance. Literally everything has insurance on it. There are no consequences for death. None. In Tarkov, I loot people's armor. In Rust, you loot everything. There's no reason to PvP in this game in a lot of situations. In almost every situation, there's no reason to PvP. Almost none. Everything that is earned in contested zones is outside of NDBs isn't really that valuable in terms of what you can buy on the stores. Yeah, Minecraft is literally more Rust than Star Citizen, so I just think it's a bad comparison. I think comparing Star Citizen to any other game is typically pretty stupid to do, and yeah, I did look at the comments below. There's nothing fun, plus we would expose some names. I think this was like a fun little conversation jumping off point thing, because a lot of this body is looking at the gameplay and going, this is too simplistic. And I think that's what he means by like new standards of gameplay. I don't think Star Citizen needs new standards of gameplay, my dude. I really don't think it does. I think it still needs to go and follow what other games have done. Just not do them at the most basic level. Like what Star Citizen is doing is putting a basic system in place that is a placeholder for following what another game has done, right? That actually has depth. I wish instead of giving examples of games that he thinks are bad, I wish he gave examples of what he wanted Star Citizen to do, and then I think we would understand his point a little bit more. But my guess is he's just looking at mining, salvage, structural salvage, refueling, right? Medical, bounty hunting, and just looking at them and going, this is too simple, too basic. And like, approaching the levels of boring and not fun. That's the vibe I got from him. And I would agree with that 1000%. Right. And there's, I want to talk to you guys about something too, real quick, is when we read a post that we don't agree with, or when we watch a video that we don't agree with, I always want to give these people the benefit of the doubt, be respectful, while also being critical. And I can disagree with them. I do not believe Star Citizen is even remotely comparable to Rust, and it's the complete opposite. That doesn't mean I think this guy's an idiot or anything like that, because how can you think he's an idiot when this paragraph in the middle is the exact explanation of why Star Citizen is bad, right? So you don't have to agree with the title, but if you actually read the body, he's kind of spot on, right? So these kind of posts are going to continue to perpetuate the forums, YouTube videos, and the conversation around Star Citizen for the rest of the year at a minimum. Star Citizen chose to not improve any of those systems, to fix the game. And I imagine this poster was behind that vision of, hey, yeah, let's fix the game, right? That should be a priority. And if you feel that way, you can't really complain that everything is a tier 0 system. Because they explain to us that there's only so much bandwidth and it's not all going to get done. So it was a choice. CIG made it. And now we have to see what happens. So it's a tough one. And I think why these posts are starting to happen is because the bugs aren't getting fixed at a pace that they should be. The game is not being fixed. It's not feeling as stable as I at least would have expected it to 5 months in. And that's I think why these are starting to pop up. Meyer in Twitch chat says Foxwell and its missions not even being driven by the reputation tab is quite perplexing. Yes. I think that's what he started with. And that was like, okay, I like the idea of going to mega groups, but you have to bring depth to the reputation system if you're going to do that, right? Having less people to create reputation with means you actually have to build a reputation system. And again, nobody's going to do that right now because they're all bug fixing. 7 months in, that's not fair at all. There's 1,000 people that work at the company. So if a decision is made in October, November, December time, it's not going to change the next day, right? That's a stupid statement to make, and that's a very like SaltEMike community statement to make. Whereas, you know, most of the time we're making jokes of the bad situation, but some people take it too seriously, and then, you know, are too spot on about things and not understanding the way stuff is. There's no way that while building 2 games, 1,000 employees, and so on and so forth, you don't just kind of say, "All right, guys, we're going to be doing it this way now." I don't think it just works that way, right? I just don't. And I imagine that the wheels are probably starting to turn now, which was it's too slow. It's too slow. And I still think the reason it's too slow is because everybody's just bug fixing on Squadron, not on Star Citizen, right? And that's where we're at. Mike, if someone were to ask, what do you think of CIG's performance so far, given what CIG's theoretical goal is this year, I think that they're failing miserably. Yeah, I think they're failing miserably. Hathor was one of the dumbest things they could have done. You have a focus on performance, a focus on stability, and a focus on bug fixing, and you spent all of your time on bug fixing Hathor, putting in missions that don't work and having to fix those instead of fixing the ones that you already have that aren't working. Again, I don't know the internal workings of the company. I don't know if missions require other engineers to come on and fix them outside of just the people who work on missions. Because if it's just the people that work on missions, it's whatever. But I just can't envision a world where Hathor is not being touched by more than just Max, who's the guy who made that gameplay, right? And to be fair, Hathor is amazing. But does Hathor come in? Does it make sense to bring Hathor in while you're doing this bug fixing stability thing? It had to have gotten in the way. I think they're failing miserably because of those reasons. Wicklow, Hathor, well, all that stuff is great and I love it, and I hope we build up on it. I do think that it got in the way of their goals for the year so far, and I think that's why quantum travel is still ass. I think that's why we don't have a reputation system that makes any sense. I think that's why there's still tons of bugs on things. Is because there's still a focus on delivering things that need to be fixed because you didn't fix the root of the problem. So, yeah. Again, good post. Again, I'll link it in the YouTube video if you guys are interested in commenting on it. And I think the guy is pretty spot on with things outside of the just using Rust as a conversation topic. That's the only thing that I just think doesn't make any sense. But yeah, the game is so tier 0, so dumbed down, so simplistic, and it was never going to change this year once they made that decision, right?